Hi everyone, Carl van Roon here at Van Roon Martial Arts. Today I'm going to be taking you through the lead leg turning kick. What do I mean by lead leg? Lead being the front side of your body when you're standing in a stance. So if you're standing southpaw, that would be kicking with a turning kick with your front leg or your right leg. If you were orthodox, you'd be kicking with your left leg, this way. Right, okay, let's get started. Okay everyone, so I've got Bob here, he's going to help me out today. We're going to be looking at lead leg turning kick. Let's just start first with how to just lift up your front leg or your lead leg and just kick out from there. So let's say that we're in a basic fighting stance and we're facing side on. So I'll be facing towards the camera to give you an idea first. Now you could be completely side on this way, that's one way to throw it, and you could just lift straight up from that spot, or you could be a little bit more frontal, about a 45. Of course you could square right up and fight this way, although we don't usually use that type of stance for Taekwondo because it makes it difficult to throw a lot of the kicks that are essential for success in the sport. If you're kickboxing, on the other hand, squaring up is really important because of things like leg kicks and the other weapons that you use in that sport. So let's start with being a bit more side on. We'll be side on this way. Some people might call it a sitting stance or a horse riding stance, depending on the martial art that you do. If I lift my knee up from there, I might just lift it straight into that chamber with my foot flat and just kick out this way. I could be a little bit more 45, and if I kick that way, I can get a little bit of twist of my shoulders and my hip into it, so I can get a little bit more power. Once again, if I square up even more and I really rotate from there, or even switch my feet like you would see in kickboxing, then you get more power again. Of course, that's all with a plus and a minus. By winding it up more, you've got more power, but by being more side on, you're less telegraphed. So there's pros and cons to all of that. Let's start with just kicking straight up the spot this way. So we're just going to lift up our foot from here and kick to the side of the body. Now, if we wanted to cover some distance, there's different ways that we can do that. An easy way to start off is to skip your back foot to your front foot. Now, rather than stepping like this, stepping and then kicking in two separate beats, I'd encourage you to try to move your front foot at the same time as your rear foot. So if I was kicking out to the side this way here, I want you to try to shift this one when this one starts and keep this space between your legs. That way you minimize the time where the opponent can counter-strike you with either a kick or a punch. So let's watch that when I kick Bob. Okay? I'm going to put this foot under my base of support and I'm going to propel my right leg and my hip forward at the same time. So when this comes forward, my hip is going to propel forward. Boom, there. Right? And again, boom. Some people call this a skip turning kick. The term that I often use is called a running kick. Let's have a look a little bit quicker. So I'm bouncing this way. So I push this hip forward when this leg goes under. I can also force throw it to the head, which would be like this. And again, switch stance. These are all running kicks or skip turning kicks. Now, as you can see, I'm prioritizing my recovery. I'm prioritizing getting maximum distance by hitting with my instep rather than with my shin. I'm also prioritizing being untelegraphed over generating power. So now, let's look at how we can generate a bit more power. What would I do differently? As I mentioned before, I probably want to get more of my hip rotating into it rather than keeping it very linear like this. This kick's really quick, but there won't be much power in it. I like to compare to different martial arts or combat sports. So let's look at what they do in boxing. In boxing, with a jab, you can throw your jab quite powerfully this way. If I jab and I have more of a square chest, when I jab, I can get a bit more twist into it, right? Let's say I'm going to jab in the solar plexus, this way. Here. I use quite a bit of rotation. I'm using rotation. The only downside is that in that rotation, in this beat here, 1, 2, 1, 2, where my shoulders are twisting, if my opponent already has their guard a bit more extended than mine. So they're a bit more like this, rather than this way. They're that much closer to reaching the target than me. So if they throw a non-telegraphed jab this way, you can see it's got less power, but it also reaches the target first, thereby setting the opponent up. So I'd like you to think of it as the same. Rather than thinking of it as, is this a better kick or is this a worse kick? Think of it in terms of the context. What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to draw the opponent's awareness to a certain part of the body to set up a really effective strike? Or are you trying to damage or finish the opponent off in a full contact situation? That will dictate exactly how you want to throw the kick. It's the context that will really help guide you with that. So let's say you want a more powerful lead leg kick. There's different ways that you can do that. One of the easiest ways is to switch your feet from more square so that your left hip comes a bit more open before you kick around. You see that a lot in kickboxing. So, for example, here, or here. The downside, of course, is during the whole time that the person is going like this, 1, 2, 3 this way, or 1, 2, 3, you can be delivering a counter strike on the 1, 2 with your feet. 1, 2, and then 3. Whereas the running kick or the skip turning kick has the advantage that it will already just be 1, 1, and gone. Of course, it's not as strong. So those are two ways that you can think about throwing your lead leg, turning kick, or 돌려차기. My advice to you would be to practice throughout the entire spectrum of techniques. I always like to think that a good martial artist should strive to be able to throw a technique anywhere from a light, super fast tap that's completely untelegraphed to an absolutely devastating full body strike. I stole this, but I really like this phrase. I'd encourage you to be a martial artist, not a partial artist. To learn more from Van Roon Martial Arts, please don't forget to subscribe, and also let me know what you thought about today's video by commenting below. Thank you very much, and see you again soon.